So I had a plan in mind. At this time, I told you I renounced being in the fraternity. But we went out to California and we were on BET's Comic View. And so I made up my mind. I was like, okay, this is my last show. And when I get back from California, I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. And when I get back, soon as I get back, I say, okay, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend. And you look at me and you're like, no. Welcome to Doing It With the Daniels, the podcast where we help couples navigate life, marriage, and ministry. I'm Charles.
And I'm Tesa. Join us as we share insights, wisdom, and practical advice to strengthen your marriage, empower your life, and enrich your ministry.
Let's dive in together and discover the joys of doing life with the Daniels. Hey, thanks for joining us for Doing It With the Daniels, where we help couples get it on in life, marriage, and ministry.
All right, we are back with episode 2, where we left off at talking about what?
Oh, talking about how we met. And the craziness that came after we met, and really putting our lives together to really start a, I guess, healthy dating journey maybe. But there were some adjustments that we had to make.
Definitely.
You know, I talked about in the last episode how I still had other interests, but I wasn't the only one that had other interests out there going on. So yeah, but we can talk about that. Like I said, I was in college. I was still in college. I should have been trying to graduate. I don't know what I was doing at that time, but I did end up graduating. Thank God. But I should have been trying to graduate. But I was just having a good time being who I was, being out, having
all this freedom,
getting ready to start a new job, where I met you, getting ready to buy me an apartment. So I was stepping into my own independence at that time. So kind of what were you doing at that time? Because you had already mentioned in the last episode how you never wanted to be married. So what was a day in your life like during that time?
So my life was totally different. I dropped out of college at that time, and I had a baby. And so I was living my life as a single woman with single adult with a child. And so my mind was just, I'm taking care of this baby, and it's about me and him. And that's when I was starting to get my life back with Christ. So I was starting to go back to church, and I was just in a different place. And then here you come along, and I'm like, okay, what is this? And I'm like, okay, this is everything that I said I don't want, to be dealing with at first when I met you.
Yeah. And now you mentioned you had the baby. How old was, this is our oldest son, although I'm not his biological father. I've been with him for a long time, and so he's considered my son. So how old was he?
He was 3.
3 at that time when we met?
Yes.
When we first met, okay. And so I'll go ahead and tell everybody, when we first met, our oldest son, Tyler, I did not meet him for a while.
Long time.
You intentionally kept me away from him.
Right. I don't think I even told you about him initially.
I don't know. I think you...
I told you later.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you initially.
Okay.
And I definitely kept you away from him.
Yeah. I don't know if you told me, or I may have, like, when we would leave from work and I saw the car seat, and I was like, who car seat is that? And I think you ended up,
well, that was eventually when you started, like, riding with me and being in my car and stuff like that. I had to eventually tell you, but I don't think I just initially just told you.
No, you didn't just come right out with it. I think it was kind of a figure out type thing, how to present.
I had to figure out if you were going to stay around, and definitely I didn't want to bring him around you. That was just something that I was just really passionate about. I wasn't going to have my child be around, anybody that I was dating, especially if they weren't going to stay in my life and be in his life. So I was kind of really, I don't know. It was a touchy thing for me back then.
So what advice would you give women who are in that situation? They're single, they do have a child, or may have multiple children. What would you tell them about dating or meeting men? How would you tell them to handle themselves?
Well, for me, when I just did not agree with having a lot of, and I'm not going to say a lot, but just if the relationship is not going to work, not only are you affected, your child is affected. And so I didn't want a lot of men or whoever I was dating to be in my child's life like that. And I just didn't think it was a good look being a woman, if you have a girl or a boy, to see mommy with all these different people. And so that's what I did not want. And so that's why I chose to do it the way I did it.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, just experiencing that with you really raised my level of respect for you as a woman, as a mother, because it showed me that you wanted to protect your child.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't just protecting yourself in this process, you were protecting your child.
Exactly.
And I think more people could do that, could really consider how should I handle myself if I do have a child and I'm dating someone or I'm considering dating or I like someone. How do you navigate that? Because everybody you meet won't be the one.
Right.
You know, and so like you said, you don't want to have kind of a revolving door going on in your life.
Exactly. And it's hard because you got to find people to watch your child, you know, when you want to go hang out and, you know, and so thank God for my mom, you know, she was single and available a lot. And so she had him a whole lot.
Yeah, I think when we first met, she had him all the time.
All the time.
So whenever you and I would get together, he was never around.
Never.
He wouldn't come around until I was gone, and then you would get him back.
Right.
Most of the time. Yeah.
Until eventually I felt like it was okay for him to meet you.
Yeah.
But it took a minute.
Yeah. So those are some safety measures.
Yeah.
That I think are really good for other people to realize, like, take your time.
Yes.
In introducing your children to people you're entering into a relationship with.
Exactly.
Because you want to make sure it's worth their time, it's worth their interest. Because when he and I eventually met, we became best buds.
Yes, y'all were.
Yeah, like that was my friend, that was my buddy, I was his friend, and we was tight.
Yeah.
You know, not knowing where this would lead to, even at that time, but I think you felt safe or comfortable enough.
I did.
That this was going to be something.
Yeah, exactly.
Between you and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so go ahead. Finish saying what you were saying about what your life was like.
So that was my life. Basically, I was drop him off at daycare, go to work, we fix something to eat, come home, take a bath, get into bed, and do it all again next day. That was what I was doing. So boring, right?
Yeah, I remember. I was like, oh, so what do you do? What do you like do after work? Because you know me, I'm like, getting off work means, hey, free, let's go do something or whatever. But you was like, I'm gonna pick up my child. Going home, get something to eat. I'm going home. We're gonna get in the tub, and I'm getting into bed. I was like, so what time are you getting to bed? It's about 7. I'm in the bed. 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like 7. I'm looking around like, what we about to do?
Yeah.
And so we were living two very different lives at the time.
Very different.
And so I ended up coming around you quite a bit. And I think I even pulled you out of that
a little
routine.
bit. Yeah.
Just a little bit. Not a whole lot.
A little bit.
But end up pulling you out of that routine because we would go hang out at the park. You know, once Tyler came into the mix, he became a part of our time together.
Yes, exactly.
And we would hang out and do different things, going to the mall, going to the store, even to the point where you decided at one point to get another job.
I did get another job.
And I started acting as a babysitter.
Yep, I did. I let you watch him while I got another job because, you know, I don't want people to think that I was just doing it every day. I did do that during the week, but on the weekends is where I would take him out and do little things with him. But, you know, being single and having a child, you know, you need money. And so I was like, okay, money's getting tight. Let me get another job. It was actually one of my friends' idea. And we got another job and I needed somebody to watch him. So I just dump him on you. Hey, I'm going to work. I'll see y'all later.
And that actually created tension between you and I. Because I was like, I don't get to see you anymore.
Right.
I wanted to spend time with you. You picked up another job. I'm like, that ain't going to work. And then, you know, after you started getting paid, and back then, pay wasn't just great. So I was like, the amount of money you make them, it's not worth it. Like, you can just be with me, budget a little better, and we can just hang out.
Yeah.
And I think you eventually ended up leaving. Yeah, leaving that job because it wasn't worth the time. Although it was a little bit of pocket change, it just was not worth it.
Yeah. And in my mind, you know, having a baby and you have obligations and stuff, I was like, okay, let me just do this, you know, for us. And that's why I did it.
Yeah. And yeah. So I get that. But I mean, that was a big part of interrupting that routine. I think I was a disruptor.
Yes, you were.
To your routine. And so sometimes when you meet a person, it does disrupt the routine of your life. And I think you were a huge disruptor. After we got married, or really on our wedding program, I say that you are the greatest blessing, right? You're the greatest blessing that I've ever received. And I think it's because you disrupted my life in a good way and really got me off of a path that wasn't going to be that good, right? Because I was like trying to be the man, player, wild out. And meeting you really pulled me back in and was like, okay, you got to make some decisions.
Yeah.
You're friends with this girl. You really like her. And I think at some point I knew I wanted to marry you.
Right.
Well, long before I ever said anything. But I was still like, okay, well, how long am I going to play? How long am I going to do what I'm doing before I really get serious about committing to this relationship or whatever we're trying to get to?
Right. But when you finally stop and you asked me to marry you, to be your girlfriend, what did I tell you?
No.
I told you no.
Well, I had a plan in mind, so I had to back up. So I had a plan in mind. At this time, I told you I renounced being in the fraternity, but we went out to California and we were on BET's Comic View, and I used to.
You're gonna have people Googling, searching.
I used to hop. Right. And so we was on the hop show. And so Ricky Smiley had us come out and we hopped on BET's Comic View. And so I made up my mind. I was like, okay, this is my last show. This is the last show I'm going to do. I'm going to go out there. I'm a hop on BET with the fraternity. And when I get back from California, I'm going to ask her to be my girlfriend. So I go out there. We do what we're going to do. And I'm talking to you while I'm out there. We're talking on the phone, whatever. I'm keeping in contact. And when I get back, soon as I get back, I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm straight. I'm done with the frat stuff. I ain't got time to be doing that all day. I'm getting ready to make some adjustments. I say, okay, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend. And you look at me and you're like, no. I'm like, what you mean? No, we've been hanging out. We developed this friendship. I met your son. We enjoying each other. This is going somewhere. I really like you. Yeah, let's make this official.
No.
And you was like, no. And I was like, I was shocked. Because I was like, how you going to turn all this down?
You think you the man, huh?
And so you said no. And I was like, okay.
And why did I tell you no?
You said no because you was like, you're not ready.
Yeah, exactly.
And I said, what you mean I'm not ready? What did you mean by I wasn't ready?
So the reason why I say you wasn't ready is because you still kind of had a lot of friends calling your phone, had a lot of girls calling your phone. And then you had that little flip phone. And I didn't feel like I was first. I feel like, we were on something good. We spent a lot of time together. We liked each other. We hung out a whole lot together, but you still had that phone that would constantly go off. And so you would put it on silent, but it had a light on the outside of it, and that light would go off all the time. And so I knew that when you didn't answer it, it was a female. So that's why I was able to tell you no and be okay with it, because did I want to tell you no? Probably not. But I felt like I needed to tell you no in that moment because you still had some other things that you really needed to work on.
I think that speaks very highly to the value you place on your heart and yourself. And I think a lot of women would do well to really recognize the signs. Yeah. Like, you may like a guy,
right?
But you see some things that are off. And instead of convincing yourself that you don't see what you see, maybe you should pay attention and be like, you know what, I like you. I'm not saying it's over and we can't keep exploring this, but I can only go so far with you because you're not ready to go beyond this point.
Yeah, the way I want to go. You're not trying to do what I want to do. And I told you, I wasn't saying we got to be married. I wasn't pushing that, but I was just pushing for us to, you got to figure out who you want to be with. And
that really was another challenge to me because it's like, I asked you to be my girlfriend and I'm ready to make these adjustments. And you,
but see, I didn't know you was feeling like that.
Right. I was in my mind, like, okay, I'm about to make some adjustments. And you're like, no. I'm like, okay, like, you're going to be my girlfriend. So in my mind, I'm thinking about, okay, I'm about to show you. So that's when I started kind of moving some things out of the way, getting some people out of my life. Like, nah, we ain't gonna talk no more. Just go ahead on them. Got some other things I'm trying to do. And I got everything trimmed down to one. So
as best as you could.
As best as I could. I only had one other person that I was kind of keeping on deck just in case you jump ship. Now, okay, well, I don't know what you gonna do. You told me no, you want to be my girlfriend. I don't know if you playing games, you ain't really serious about this. In my back in my mind, I'm like, you already told me you never get married, so I could be just wasting my time and you playing games with me. Mm-hmm. So I did what I did until eventually it was like, okay, I could tell you was for real. I think it got to the point where I was like, you in love, I'm in love. But I don't think we said we was in love.
Right.
And man, it took another turn. Our relationship took another turn. As we often talk about, dating was not really the thing for us.
Right.
We didn't really date.
We didn't really date.
Things just kind of, we
was friends. But dating, we didn't really, I don't even know if there was really a dating period.
Yeah. Well, I think that period for me actually to be my girlfriend to the next step was like a period of time for me to kind of make some adjustments and show you that I was serious about us starting to consider this whole dating piece and where this goes, where this could go for us, because the feelings were getting real.
Right.
And it was a serious thing. So I think we jumped from there with it to figure out what we would do. So I think that's what we should tackle next about
on the next episode.
On the next episode, I think we should tackle this whole our dating journey and experience and what really happened.
Okay.
So I'm all for it.
I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Hey, hopefully y'all are for it and you'll join us to hear more about this journey. And I think hopefully we're saying some things that will be helpful to you guys as you explore, whether if you're single right now, headed to marriage, and some of you just remembering your process and your journey. Hopefully you're learning some things that maybe you did wrong that you could help others with along the way.
That's right.
Yep. And so we'll see y'all back on the next one. Take care. Hey, thank you for joining us for Doing It with the Daniels. If you want to keep up with everything going on our channel, don't forget to
like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.